Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello, everybody. So today we have Dr. Monica Sanford on, specializing in cardiology and critical care. She's a nurse practitioner with deep focus on cardiology and, again, critical care, offering extensive expertise in these fields. She's a VA disability claims expert, which is fantastic. Excited to jump into that stuff. Legislative advocate for veteran issues. I know we're going to dive deep into that one. And then holding a Doctor of Nursing practice degree from Vanderbilt University and a professor of health policy and leadership at the University of West Florida, Pensacola. So you're married to a Marine for over 35 years. I mean, I am excited to have you on, Monica. So
no, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
So it's true. I have been married to a Marine almost 35 years, but I've been together longer than that. But he was prior enlisted when I met him, and then he retired as the G2 of 2nd Marine Division at Camp Lejeune. I've been retired about 10 years now. And so I do VA disability claims, and mainly it is I'm an adjunct faculty at University of West Florida in Pensacola, and do cardiology, hospitalist, and like you said, a lot of legislative advocacy stuff, and kind of just stay busy.
Yeah, sounds like it. So excited to get into some of this stuff. Just before we do, though, I just want to remind everybody on the top right, man, you can tell it's Monday. The top right-hand corner, and I don't edit any of this, just so you know, of the screen, there's a blue QR code. That takes you to empowerperformancestrategies.com. Again, for people listening later on the podcast forums, it's empowerperformancestrategies.com. There are some free books I've written. There are Facebook groups for both veterans and their families and other resources and so on. So please get involved in that community and go check that out. All right.
Yeah, you're a neuroscientist. I'm on here with a neuroscientist. And
neuroencoder. There's definitely science to it for sure. So,
nice.
So let's go ahead and dive in. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Awesome. So let's talk about the VA disability claims. Let's kind of get started with that, if you will, because I know you're very passionate about that and helping veterans and their families get further faster with that, because nothing more frustrating, right, than it not being right.
Yeah, definitely.
Something having to be delayed or something. So why don't you talk about, if you will, some of the most common challenges you see, veterans and their families face with those?
The most common challenge is all veterans, no matter the age or what service they are, they don't know what they're entitled to. They don't know. They have not been to a VA or gone to the va.gov website. They don't know how to even get started. So they just don't know what they are entitled to. And then once they find what they're entitled to, some of them don't want to claim because they do not feel that they deserve to claim. And they think they're keeping money from somebody else that may need it more than them. So that's not the case, of course. Everybody will get what they're entitled to, and but the claims definitely, they don't want to complain. They don't know what they're entitled to, but if also they don't know what to claim, especially if I've had mechanics come in that worked on aircrafts or vehicles or whatever, and their wrist hurt. And they claim their hand, fingers, that's different than the wrist. That's different than the arm. That's different than shoulder. So just walking through with a provider or somebody to let them know exactly. And not that I'm not against legal help and legal advice. People claim, helping them with their claims. But some of those people do not know the medical kind of background of it. So talk to a provider and tell them exactly what is going on. So when you come to see me, then we have the correct x-ray of your hands or your wrist or your shoulder or elbow, whatever it is. Because the toes are different than your ankles, that type of thing. So So talk to the provider, let them know specifically what is going on, what you need to claim, what the problem is, and they will walk you through it. So I think that's the biggest challenge, getting in the
Yeah,
system.
I love that, and thank you. And you know what, you nailed it before. Is people don't want to claim more than what they think they deserve, and that's a biggie.
Yeah.
Let the medical field determine what
Yeah.
you deserve. You went and you served our amazing country.
Yeah,
You
and the only time you cannot claim is if you were dishonorably discharged.
right.
Other than that, go and see, and even in some of those instances, if you've appealed that, go and talk to your VSO and your VA and see what you can claim. But definitely, and I hear from a lot of people, a lot of veterans that say they didn't ever complain about anything in the service. They have no records, medical records. They have and there's a ton of reasons for that. People don't have the records. Either they were in war, and they don't have a urgent care center out in the middle of Iraq, so that we have no records of some of the stuff. But or they didn't complain about it because they didn't want to lose some kind of status, some kind of flight status, deployment status, hazard pay, or get booted down or get recycled through, things. They just didn't complain. That's their nature.
Right.
So now, when you walk in my room, I'm doing a assessment. Is I tell them this is not the place to suck it up. I want to hear everything. I want to hear your entire story, uh,
Mm,
what your MOS was, what you were doing when you served, what you were exposed to, things like that. I want to hear every detail because my details that I put in my charts, and some providers may be different, but I go very detailed into your story, the onset, when it started. And some of them say boot camp. Never had the problem before, and it started in boot camp, and we'll go from there.
that's awesome, and I really do hope there are more like you, in
Yeah,
there.
me too.
Yeah, honestly, because I mean, if you're already struggling to admit you're having a pain or this or that, and
Right.
someone's not empathetic and asking you for all that information, you don't know what to say sometimes. So let me ask you that question, if you will.
Yep.
So, first time going, second, third time, you're not getting the results that you're looking for, and maybe again, the doctor's not asking the right questions. You're not given the right information. Maybe you don't realize your ankle and your foot are two different things.
Right.
So, how can you suggest, if you will, maybe some ways to kind of slow down and be more detailed and help the provider help you?
Great question, because I request a lot of time for each veteran, but it is going to the provider, going to your VSO, and tell them exactly what is hurting. However, a lot of veterans don't know that a hurt ankle will also affect your knees, and then
Oh,
your
of course. Yeah.
hips, and then your lower back will affect everything else, kind of downstream. So everything affects everything. Um, so be very specific. And if you don't know, claim it and let us figure it out. I mean, if you think my lower back hurts, but it's really my knees and my hips, claim your knees, whatever knee it is, things like that. And go in, be examined, be seen. And another kind of challenge is I don't, as the provider, I have nothing to do with the claim itself except being very specific. And I can't order. I can request a PFT, a pulmonary function testing, a CPAP testing, X-rays, MRIs. I can request anything, and I usually do on all of my veterans. I request everything because that just helps paint the picture. But I can request it. It's up to the VA if they approve it and they send you for it. So I would say the veterans, before they get out of service, have an X-ray of something that's hurting, just so they have something documented. And then when they get out and their provider out in town, because this is going to be a question, let me get this in, because it's if it was hurting in service and you weren't seen, we get it, because for whatever reason. But out of service, if it was still hurting, why weren't you seen? Did you go to physical therapy, get a massage, over-the-counter medicine, go to providers and be seen? At some point, did it hurt bad enough out of service? Or at least tell us why you weren't seen. You didn't have provider, you didn't want to endure the cost, you didn't want to leave work to do it, whatever it is. So just try to get something documented.
Yeah, fantastic advice. Thank you. Would you say that you see more veterans that are nervous about the whole paperwork and all that more so than people that are just excited to get in there and get help?
Oh gosh, yeah. Sometimes it is I'm pulling teeth from them. They still don't want to complain, but when I tell them, tell me everything, they're just nervous about the whole process. They're nervous about other tests that are going to run, or and I've had veterans come to see me, and I've had 200 pages of charts, and when they send me a chart, it is every award you got, every time you got in trouble, every time, things like that. Or I've had veterans that have 15,000 pages, so it helps me narrow down and like I keep saying, paint that picture for the VA. But very nervous. They're still very nervous. They still, it takes a little bit. That's why I like to spend time with them. It's I think that's the nurse practitioner in me. I literally let them talk them through it. And I give them a lot of kind of prompts to help them going, okay, in your MOS, were you working on aircraft, working on machines, doing, rucks every day with heavy packs on your back, and now your back hurts, things like that. So I try to walk them through things that they may not even remember, and as my husband says, a retired Marine, he said, the VA is not coming to look for you. It is up to you to be involved in your health care. It's up to you to let them know what's going on. So you need to be looking for the VA, looking for the VSO, looking for the people there that can help you through the process.
Right, and you've earned it. So please do.
Definitely.
Please do. So just a quick tip for everybody: neuroencoding. So we've had people on here talking about the stop technique and that kind of thing. So sometimes when you have that anxiety and that stress, if you start feeling it, and it's an exercise that I teach my clients. When you start feeling that stress, that anxiety, that kind of stuff from coming on, there's a tool that I use. It's called actually stop the ceiling technique, as in stop the ceiling from falling in on you or sky from falling. I use that as well. But if you just sit up, take a deep breath, look up, smile until that feeling goes away. And then once that feeling goes away, smile and celebrate. Literally pat yourself on the back, shake your ass, do whatever you have to. It releases all of these amazing endorphins and everything in your body. And if you picture that going to the doctor and dealing with that, and little by little, you take that level up, that anxiety up, and picture it a little bit more each time. And once you start getting up, and start at like a 4 or a 5 on that emotion level, once you start getting up higher, it just gets easier and easier, and your brain starts looking for that. And so when you go to the doctor, it's not a, oh God, I'm stressed out. It's, hey, I can do this. And it really helps you come back to your best self. Really
I love that.
Stress to going back to your best self. So
I love that. And about halfway through our visits, not even quite halfway, about 10 minutes in, they do start relaxing into it. But I will tell them the most relaxed ones are the ones that do come fully prepared with information. They come fully prepared with their med list, their prior history, medical history, what they thought through the entire time, and their MOS, what they did from the boot camp till getting out. So being prepared does help that anxiety some.
Absolutely. And then again, when you have a great doctor that takes the time, or nurse or medical staff in general, they can really help ease a lot of tension. And like you said, in about 15 minutes in, when they're like, hey, this person's here for me, they're going to relax it and be more open. That's fantastic.
And they know that, when I introduce myself, yes, I'm been married to a Marine for 35 years. My mom, dad, and sister all in the Army. They were in the Army, things like that. And I speak your language. Let's, I'm on their side. Let's, try to figure this out. So
that's fantastic. So from a provider standpoint, what are the key? Man, it really is Monday. This is what happens when you try to read. What are some key factors that can significantly influence the outcome of a VA disability claim? So being prepared, is there anything else that we haven't covered yet?
Well, just when you go in, when I said be prepared to, be prepared to, if you have scars, we have to measure them. I have to see them. I have to be prepared to be able to do functional mobility things, range of motion things. Go in with the mental mindset that I am looking at you kind of head to toe, and if you're claiming a shoulder, a knee, a hip, a back, whatever it is, I'm going to have to get you up and make you work out a little bit. I'm going to do range of motion exercises, strength testing, things like that. So be comfortable, be prepared to at least, be there an hour to get into that comfort and get, moving a little bit. If you're claiming your feet, I'm going to have to see your feet. You're going to have to take socks and shoes off, things like that, which had some guys come in with big old boots on, work boots, or, I'm like, sorry, you got to take your shoes off.
Right.
So be prepared to have, scars looked at, skin looked at, whatever you're claiming. If you had surgery on places, we have to see it. So the only thing I don't do is any kind of mental health or TBI, that's a specialist. Any kind of eyes, ears, nose, things like that, that's a specialist. You have to go to ophthalmology or dental. Things of that nature. But everything else, just be comfortable when you come in. First, we're going to talk about the story. When did your condition and claim, when did it start? What's the story behind it? And then we're going to get you up and moving around a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you for letting them know. Because again, when you go there, the more you know, the more you're comfortable.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Yep.
Fantastic. So legislative advocacy that you're working on, can you share some recent legislative initiatives you've been involved in that aim to support veterans and healthcare needs specifically?
Well, yeah, definitely the PACT Act, which everybody hears about. The PACT Act was last year. And since that time, VA disability claims and conditions have boomed, of course. They're booming. But the PACT Act, what it did was, expand and extend eligibility for not just Iraq and Afghanistan, but those coming back from there and the burn pit type things. But again, as my husband would say, everywhere you're deployed, if it's a third world country, they burn everything. So they burn trash, they burn, whatever. They don't have, he says, they don't have waste management in third world countries. So they're, so you're exposed to all kinds of stuff. So put that in there. I want to hear about all your deployments, not just, wartime, but the expansion and extension of even Vietnam vets, any kind of wartime, and any kind of, I put down that you were occupationally exposed to something, environmentally exposed to something, that you particulate matter, like I said, vehicles, aircraft, all those gases and fumes are constant. So any kind of fire foam, gas, radiation, I have pilots that come in all the time and they, didn't quite realize how much radiation they're getting sitting in kind of this sauna box of radiation. And they have, probably skin issues, cancer issues, things like that. So any kind of chemicals you were cleaning with on the flight line, whatever, just think back and be very specific on what you possibly were exposed to. But back to legislation, the VA definitely, the legislation, the VA definitely wants to get all vets back in the VA. That's their goal, is to, if you're a veteran, go to your VA, be seen, go to va.gov, get in the system. And they're trying to increase the your access to care. So there are some, local legislation and, U.S. government regulation or legislation to help further that timely care and access, and increase appropriations for increased providers, things like that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm glad, there's been over time, obviously, just more and more resources, if you will. And I'm just always over the moon whenever I see something else released, or and there's a lot of companies, private sector, that do a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of service members don't realize that once they get, 30, 40%, it doesn't have to be 100%. Once they get any percentage, go back to your VA and see what you are entitled to. Because then you could get a card to go back to the commissary, or get your meds at the VA, or, tax breaks or loans, or, any number of things. So take full advantage of the VA and everything they're offering that you're entitled to.
Are there any specific programs that you are aware of at the VA that are, as far as paperwork, those kinds of things, easier to kind of play with and get into?
Well, they definitely have made it a lot easier, and we call it kind of interoperability, computers talking to computers type thing.
Mhm.
It is with your charts, with your background, with pulling up what you can access. So they are trying to make it easier, and it is becoming easier. I'm not sure the question as far as paperwork, but go to your
Just
VSO.
filling things out in general. Yeah.
Yeah, so much easier, but definitely va.gov, and then walks you through all kinds of kind of algorithms to get to where you're going. Even survivor benefits, look into all of that. If you have a spouse now, look into once you get rated at a certain, what is that spouse also entitled to? That's on the va.gov website. So, but if anything, call, make an appointment to go see your local VA, your VSO.
Yeah, awesome. As far as balancing professional and business life or professional life, being married to Marine for over 35 years must offer some unique insights. So, how has your personal experience influenced your professional approach?
Well, like I said before, they come to see me. I introduce myself and I tell them I'm on your side. I speak your language. I know certain MOSs that are definitely. I know what they go through in boot camp, and I know what they go through. And I was fortunate at one time to be able to take an MMA. I used to work for the boxing commission for the state of Georgia. A little side thing I did. It was fun.
Here's a story.
No, it is. So it was, I took a show, I took an MMA event to Mosul, Iraq. So I traveled out there and on a C9, or it was a C-130, sorry, taking us into Kuwait. And then it was kind of, and then into Iraq. And so it was just being there 10 days. I saw what's a tiny little snippet of what these service members go through. And it's just this hyper vigilant of you're always on alert there, always on such high alert.
Right.
And this was back in 2010 when a lot of stuff was still going on. But anyway, so I speak their language, being on the side of the military as a daughter, mom and dad in the Army, and my sister in the Army. I have nieces and nephews in service now. And being married to a Marine for 35 years, I try to always also tell the spouses when they are home to invest in themselves. It is, it's just, you cannot sit around for months and months at a time. And my husband went to Iraq twice. And every time he would go, I would take another course, like some kind of class. Take a class. You would be surprised how quick 3 months goes by if you're in a class requiring papers and tests and finals. And it's like, it just flies by. Not saying it's not hard, but invest in yourself, invest something in you that when they come back, you already have a few courses done. And you're taking time to still be yourself.
I love it. Absolutely love that. So let's talk more about this if we can. So, I mean, there's so many other benefits than just sitting there, let your mind think,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because the podcast, your thoughts, your reality. You're creating that in your mind, and sometimes it's real, and 90% of the time, our brain is just trying to protect us and giving us these thoughts that generally aren't reality, if you will, but it's trying to protect us. So, what are some, obviously taking a course and furthering your education, but other thoughts? Doing a boxing class, an MMA class. I mean, other things to stay active and use your brain, right? Just to keep yourself in that positive place.
Definitely, 100%. That support group is huge. Definitely, there is definitely something to not just family support if family is not around, but the other wives, husbands, spouses, or girlfriends, whoever that are there going through the same thing. You have to get involved with them. I was a key wife. They don't call it key wife volunteer anymore, I don't think, but 30 years ago, I was a key wife volunteer, which meant I just had the book of resources for everything all the spouses wanted and needed. So go to those resources, go on base. Again, they're not coming to look for you because they don't know what you need until you tell them. So go on base, find out where the housing, the groups are, the spouse groups, the walking groups. Like you said, go take an MMA class, go take a boxing class, just to get socialization. And like you said, I love how you said that, and that's your kind of forte, is the mind working, is yes, it makes your mind, then at the end of the day, you'll get home and you'll be so tired you can actually sleep and your mind will not go crazy.
Love that tip by itself.
Yeah. But I was literally from the kind of disability claims too standpoint, with being married to a Marine. I went out one time. I had my son on my back. He was a baby then. I had a backpack, and I was filming my husband jump out of a parachute. So I was filming him, and he was like, I'm going to be this one that jumps out of this plane or whatever. So he literally jumps and he loses his air in the parachute and falls about 30 feet. So I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I just filmed my husband to death. But he broke his leg. So that was an injury in service, but he never complained. He went, got it fixed, kind of whatever, and then didn't complain again during service, because you just don't complain.
Right.
But if you're out there and you have a spouse or a buddy letter, something that's saying, I saw this person get injured or hurt, and they didn't complain about it, or they snored every single night when we were in basic together, and I will order a sleep study, whatever. Right. So if you don't have it, we take buddy letters very serious. So get that buddy letter, get that spouse letter, that layman's letter saying what they experience with you.
That's a great tip. So if the veterans, the families out there, if you're struggling with something and you don't have documentation, reach out, man. Reach out to those people that can help you. Amen. I love that. Didn't even think about that tip. So nice.
Yeah, even with the mental challenges stuff, any kind of depression, things like that, they will, if your buddy is saying he would always talk to me about how depressed he is or what is going on mentally, that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. So we're getting low on time here. So is there anything specific that you wanted to talk about that we haven't covered?
Oh wow, just the technology innovation coming to the VA now is huge. So stay involved with them. We are getting into a lot of territory now where it is a lot of home monitoring for the VA, a lot of home physical therapy, a lot of things that we can do telehealth wise. So if you're out in an area that doesn't have broadband or you're not close to a VA, it is coming, but go to your VA and see how you can get set up with things at home that could help you. So definitely, we're being, into this and the same day appointments, you're calling. We're trying to get people in faster, of course, more providers. The VA here, I actually have on my podcast here next week, the director of our VA, and they're talking about how they're increasing the customer service, the phone lines, decreasing the wait time, increasing the nurse practitioners, which I, of course, think is huge. So, so it is increasing the nurse practitioners and providers so you can be seen same day.
That's fantastic. I mean, that alone is fantastic, because you hear about the waits, so, well, glad to hear that. So if we can, first of all, how do people reach out to you? Podcast, whatever you want to,
Yeah, well, my podcast is on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and it is on Reach Across America Veterans Radio. It's on their Friday night lineup. That's huge fun. So it went national on the Veterans Radio. And so that is a fun one. My Facebook page is probably my most active. It's Monica Silver Sanford. And I picked silver. My daughter actually picked silver. So, because I wear a lot of silver makeup or a silver earring, silver. So anyway, so Monica Silver Sanford, the Monica Sanford Show on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Reach Across America Radio.
Fantastic. And so if I can get the 3 tips to get veterans further faster.
Go to your VA, go to va.gov. If you are not close to a VA, go to va.gov. Just get in the process. Talk to your buddies, talk to your family, and the main thing is the best thing would be to be prepared, sit down and write down everything you remember about your service, your MOS, your deployments, what you think you were exposed to, occupational, environmental exposures, anything at all that will help you when you go in to sit for the provider so they can get it all documented.
I'd like to add, if I can, to that. Great tips, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. Don't wait till your doctor's appointment. Make the list when it's fresh on your brain. Add to the list while it's fresh on your brain. If your leg starts hurting, write it down. Write the date down.
100%. Because, and on that point, because I'm going to ask you how it affects your functional mobility. How does it affect you every single day? I want to hear about your worst day that you ever have, that it affects you. You have to leave work, or you can't, do stuff with the family because your knee's hurting, your leg's hurting, your back's hurting, whatever. So I want to hear about your worst day. Write it down.
Yeah, fantastic. And really, Monica, I mean, you care and you are going the extra mile. And I really just hope other people see your leadership and follow suit there. So fantastic. Thank you for what you do.
No, and thank you for this and getting the word out. I love it.
Absolutely. I'm on a mission. We're on a mission.
Yes, good.
All right, everybody. Monica, most precious time humans have is most precious resource humans have is time. We don't get it back. Thank you so much, truly, for spending this time with us.
Thank you.
All right, we are out of here.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.